Hello everyone, it's Cheryl Millett here, live at 5 for Mondays. And as usual, there's always, it seems to be a lot happening during this time. And if you're like me, or even some people that I know, there's much to read, videos, you try to take in what you can. And in some cases, some of us look at information, certain information that we're more attracted to. And for Live at 5, yes, welcome if you're new to Live at 5. And if you're coming in to learn yet something else about how Cheryl's, I guess in some ways, research perspective on things and ideas on things. But back quickly to what I'm focused on, actually in the case of yours, yes, I'm going to go in through a number of things that are kind of happening, but my ideas around the health, what's happening with the body, what happens when certain things go into the body, and what is, real and not real, and all those around that. And there's a great video, I say great in a sense, that it opens up the area that I've been focused on, and again, that area of health and what is happening when people are not well, what is happening when they become not well, and so forth. And I'll go into that a little bit later. Let's kind of focus in on something completely new, something different for some people, and that is iridology. Now, iridology keeps coming up for me, even with people contacting me. It's probably the it's almost like a hip thing, iridology. It's we call it an iridology reading, so for some it seems a little bit psychic oriented, but it's not at all. Iridology is looking at the colored part of your eye, the iris, to determine a person's inherited tendencies and also their current health conditions. And that shows up very simply. It kind of ties in with my book, All Guts, All Glory, and Dr. Tilden's Stages of Disease. And that is, the eye is showing the very similar things as the stages is. Where are things irritated? Where are things congested? Congested could toxic. Where are things irritated? You can think inflamed, but also where are things degenerative, as in low vibration, and they would turn darker, things like that. Brighter would be it's acute or currently being irritated, but the body is working with it to heal it. And the funny thing is, we don't necessarily feel everything in the body. You don't feel everything. If there's no pain receptors there, similar to the gut, you don't feel the food going through your your intestines, do you? No. But if in the large intestine you have enough pressure or gas buildup, it actually expands and it's referred pain, as in the pain receptors that are elsewhere around there or close to there, they get pressed on, and that's where you feel it. That's where you're feeling it. It's not like you're feeling things, especially in the small intestine, things kind of happening. So to understand our body is to putting the whole thing together, the nervous system in its role. And what I like about iridology, which I'm going to say iridology or iridology, is focus on is the nervous system. So the nervous system, be it the brain is looking through the optic nerve, and the optic nerve, all the little fibers that make up our irises, our colored part of our eye, is part of the nervous system, and that's how it's responding with the rest of the body. Really what it's doing is through the nervous system into the colored part of your eye for a visual that we can see, is the different vibrations and the different signals, different communication, different energy packets that come in and make the eye change so that you can see what's going on. Like a level of toxicity or an acute toxic poisoning, the eyes would turn color. I mean, you would see it visibly Without, in iridology, I have a special camera, and there's special, microscopes that, or magnifying glasses that you can see a bit closer, but there are certain things you can see very, very clearly. One of the things that came to me with iridology, I want to show you a picture, and I'm not going to talk much about it other than I'll put you a link. So this is an eye. This is a teaching tool, obviously, by showing his eye. But what happens in the body when there's stress or tension, for all the reasons it can be. It could be a physical injury. It could be mental stress or trauma that's happening. And it shows up by the fibers buckling. And so let me just see if I can show you. You can see, here I'm just going to kind of point it out. You can see how there's these rings right around here. And these are what we call tension rings, or stress rings, or pain rings. So it'd be interesting to know, and you may want to know too, how the body, how your physical body is fit in this, lots of information, this event, a lot of things going on, and people are finding it challenging to go through and see a level of awareness and conscious awareness here. But it would be very simple to see whether or not your physical body is holding on to this tension, is manifesting as tension as it's coming into the eye. With the orange around here, you can see that is toxicity. I mean, just to point out that, a couple other things. These things here, these little puffs here that show up here, this is lymphatic congestion, and lymphatic system is tied to your immune system. It's really a detoxification of the system, be it that the blood kind of comes in and delivers nutrients. Obviously the blood can deliver toxicity as well, but then the toxicity can come out through your lymphatic system. This is the coming out. But again, not to go too much in, because I could speak about this for hours, because the body is brilliant. It is communicating to us, and what iridology is just recognizing that the eyes are showing us things going on in our body without you knowing it, without you feeling it as you would feel pain. So it's showing up there. You may have other symptoms that indicate that there is toxicity, and it will show up differently for people. But the nice thing about iridology is getting to the root cause, and having things show up in your eye before you are well aware of it. So it's very preventative, knowing what the eye shows us. And also importantly is the inherited tendencies, so you can be preventative with your lifestyle. Some need to be more than others, but it surely can explain things too if you've been wondering or confused, because quite often people and things are being put into the same basket when there is uniqueness. So iridology is a very, very simple, it's an analytical tool, but very simple, very easy to use, very easy to use. Obviously, if you are trained in it like I am, it makes it that much more easier to be able to identify things in a quick way, and through experience I'm able to draw some how can I say it, some parallels between what's going on in people's bodies, a number of people, and how the eye is showing up. It is actually quite simple. I can't say I've run away or run amok with what's going on in the eye, for sure. So let's see what I have. Yes, one of the things that's going on right now is the convoy, the truckers, you just shoot. If you've ever been in the back of your car and on the highway and you have a trucker behind you, as children, I don't think adults did it very often, but as children you were shown, as they would, to toot their horn, toot, toot. So I just remember that well as I is driving beside truckers. It always reminds me of that. But all these truckers are honking their horn, and when I was in the rally and marching on Saturday here in Toronto, and there's many marches all around the world, there were some truckers that were driving alongside us, not with us, but opposite direction, going the opposite way, been able to get through, and that's what they were doing. They were honking their horns in support, as other vehicles were too. So I can see that many people are coming out from the videos or the live videos or some taped videos, that people are going out by roadside to give their support. Maybe some are even joining. I mean, there's people talking about doing that, meeting up, joining, going along with the flow with the truckers and others while they're in this convoy. So how fun is that? It's really bringing a lot of people together, and I think more and more people are realizing that there's something not cool here. It's like the Walmarts, they're putting these cages, as in like phone booth like scenarios, but doesn't have the glass, just the cages, apparently in Quebec. And this is where people who have chosen not to get the medical treatment, and I guess that's where they would stand. But the picture speaks for itself. I'll post it below. But it's crazy. It's like the farmers market. There was a separate little rally there, and the idea is that the farmers market takes place in an event space, and according to the rules, they cannot operate, they cannot have unvaccinated people come into that space because it's an event space. And like I would openly say to people, unique situations come into play. You got to stand up for what is right, and if you don't, then you are just going to, as anything, or companies or whatever, are just going to be choosing not to stand up, or choosing not to be confrontation, choosing not to ask. What is that saying? If you don't ask, you're not going to get. So there's that asking part, that you just ask, what's the worst thing they can do? They say no. But if you have how can I say, not necessarily a convincing conversations with the people, if you kind of connect in a way that you're both all on the same page and a sense of what you're looking for, figure it out, solve it, get to the bottom of what is right and what makes more sense. So there is this thing that they were doing at the farmers market, where somebody was coming out, they worked for the stop, and they would take your order. I won't fall into that. I won't fall into just standing outside and giving an order. They go in and get it for me and bring it out, because that's, to me, I mean, it's just me, it just does not speak to as the solution, so because the facts and the science and everything else that's out doesn't speak to that, so it's so offside in my mind that I can't. It's no different than the mask. I was paying attention to the contemplation of putting on a mask, let's say, but there's I'm not contemplating doing it at all, but just the thought of it, and how does my body feel about it? I couldn't. I would be, I'd be looking at the mask on the table, and I would be not frozen, but it would go against every cell in my body to pick that up and put it on. Every cell in my body. I don't even have to think about the scenarios that people have thought about. Well, I'm doing it because I don't want to be confronted. I'm doing it, but that's not even a thing for me. To me, it's what makes most sense and what's the right thing to do. And now, right and wrong, we can get into black and white, but it just seems like it goes against everything I understand about who man is and who we are, and what is for that. Not necessarily the right thing, but what is that? Who are we? And man, it doesn't even fit with that. So as I was talking about earlier about the focus in the body and how it works, there's a particular doctor, and I think it was on Facebook here. Let me just see if I can bring it up quickly. I just want to speak to it as in a little bit, but that's not it. My computer's probably slow as molasses. It's a particular doctor that comes on here, and Dr. Thomas Cowan. And what he goes into, and this is no different than me talking about the germ theory. We got to get to the root. We got to get to the bottom of it. And something that we've heard about in the past, or at least I was on the call, thanks to Glorious and Free. They had a particular scientist, I believe, if I didn't get that right, is there, but he came on and he talked about reading the papers. Because he had time on his hands with the lockdown and with all of that he read the two papers that were referenced as being the viruses being isolated, and he said they were using the word isolated incorrectly. Therefore, those didn't have any weight. But this particular video that Dr. Thomas Cowan gets into, what he speaks about, and I think it's only about 11 minutes, is well worth it. And even for me and my understanding of things, I still want to probably listen to it a few times. I actually want to put it into memory, I guess you could say, with the correct terms. But the short of it is, I think in 1954, if my memory serves me correctly, there was a particular fella that and I do have the PDF here, and whether or not it says everything, I haven't got that, but this particular here, 8 agents exhibiting the properties of viruses have been isolated in cultures. I mean, it's what they're saying, of human and simian renal cells, kidney cells, from the blood and throat washings of 5 cases of typical measles. Multiplication of the agents in vitro is accompanied by characteristic changes in the cells. Now, it's all going to sound a little bit like jargon, so if I could summarize it for you, is basically you take something and there's a number of processes, almost processing of it in a way that it may be completely meaningless, but yet they put meaning on it, if that makes any sense. So the idea from 1954, right, published June 1st, 1954, Biology Medicine, is thinking what they see and what came out of it. It's almost like, how can I say, it's almost like taking an orange and understanding the properties of an orange, but you've taken that orange, you've juiced that orange, you've added chemicals to that orange so things will separate maybe to get the protein, and then you're going to take that and you're going to put it in a heater, and then you're going to put it in this, and then you're going to add kidney cells from a monkey, and then you're going to, anyway, you get the idea that there's a number of processes happening, and their determination of, based on the process here, is what's been taken forward and come up with the various things that determine this must be the virus. Not that they know that's the virus, because it's not about the live sample anymore. And that's what they kind of used when we're thinking about the newer vaccines after 1954. And what's in the vaccines would be this whatever, would just be this whatever. Because before then was about using the live, the live, which caused all kinds of problems in the past. So if dead, live, lots of processes, if that makes any sense at all. I'm going to post them down below for sure. I'm going to post certain areas you can go regarding the convoy as well. And I want to give a shout out to Druthers here too as well. Druthers, yep, donate, and then get some of these papers and do this. So this was the reason I'm bringing up this particular story that's in Druthers is this is Sean Hartman, who passed, and it's so interesting when people say, well, I don't think it's that. Well, how do you not think it's that? The idea is, this young boy, 17, passed, and he had gone into the hospital post the injection, and his father's questioning, so this is the article under others. If I can pull it up, I'll pull it up there. But if you have druthers, or if you have the paper, I'm trying to think which one this is, January 2022, page 4, then you can see, what the story's about. But I'm going to post something a little bit more relevant, again, based on the story, and that is the Toronto City Council, Dr. Cressy, I think that's his name, and at 2:08, this father comes on, explains the situation, and how he actually had the autopsy report saying, well, they don't think it is. Well, how can they rule that out? Because you can't be just one-sided. You got to say, well, maybe it is, but we don't think it is. But how do you? They can't conclusively say what it is, so therefore it's got to be questions on both sides. But this short period of time, 5 minutes, that Hartman has on the video is explaining to all whoever's there on the Toronto City Council on that particular day. And I'll share that so that you can just listen in and be aware on what is kind of coming through, but not coming through mainstream media at all. That's the crazy thing. You watch mainstream media for a bit, and you really they really don't talk about the questioning part at all. So I'm going to post that. I think the idea of questioning has gone out the window. It's gone out the window when it comes to mainstream media, and they're going to tell you what they want. I'm going to post the if you haven't heard this, I heard it before. It's called Pure Blooded song. How cute, how creative. It's based on that Hot Blooded by Foreigner song. If you haven't listened to it, it's just something light. It's really an appreciation of creativity, I will say. I don't see it beyond that. Don't want to feel anything differently there. Then it seems like there are a number of countries that are abolishing the different mandates, be it UK, be it Denmark, not Canada yet, but anyway. So there's that. So that's really good news. And what else did I want to kind of speak to here? Yeah, the Board of Health, I'm going to put that up there. Action for Canada. They have a great website. I printed this out about COVID Advanced Medical Directive. It's a very simple sheet. There's 4 of them in here. You cut them out, and you would actually just put it in your wallet or put it with your health card, and that speaks to whether it's even warranted. I don't know. I don't know anybody who's used it. Don't know anybody. I guess what people are trying to do is they're trying to cover cover all bases, and perhaps, but I haven't heard of this, people are going into the hospital and without their consent, perhaps, they're actually being given the injection. But if I read it quickly, COVID Advanced Medical Directive, number 1, in the case of an emergency, let's say Cheryl Millett, do not consent to any COVID-19 vaccination, testing, ventilators, or remdesivir, as is my right. It is an indictable offense to violate my right to refuse these treatments or to withhold any medical care because of it. Number 2, if I need treatment for COVID-19, I insist that the treating physician use effective alternatives such as antivirals, vitamin C and D3, quercetin, zinc, HCQ, which is hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, and inhalers. And so there's a little code there, and then on as you fold it around your health card, then all your contact information is there. So really cool. So Action for Canada, I'm going to post this particular that goes through a number of notice of liability, a number of things that you can go in and browse through. I believe at the rally that I went to, the farmers market, they did have a notice of liability that if you were turned away from the farmers market, you could file something as that. I look forward down to the Queen's Park, so there wasn't going to be a thing for me. But I hope somebody did it. And anyway, they keep reaching out to the management, which is so which would Barnes, I'm trying to think of it, it's not coming to me, but there's the stop. Anyways, a management company is running the Witchwood Barns, and that's where I think we still need to keep reaching out to them and express our desire, which is to stop the segregation and to allow all people should be allowed in there. And that's that. So what else is that I wanted to express? There's so much here. Yeah, that's that. So in essence, we do have a lot of things going on. I wanted to share with you another bit of good news as well. So it was my daughter's 3rd anniversary for her business, and a couple of her friends came over. I'm not going to say names or anything, but it turns out, do you recall, or may have seen and may have not seen a video where there's 5 cops on one boy, he's probably in his 20s, at a Costco store. So this person, if he cannot get the injections, because he will definitely have a severe reaction. They already know that, and he actually has exemptions as well for wearing that. And so if you recall that video, the young lady, or my daughter's friend, is his sister. And so we had a conversation around that, and because of that, they're going to sue Costco, just to let you know. The mother is going to sue Costco, or the family's going to sue Costco, and as a result of that, this young girl is not going to wear any more of this. She's had enough, because that's really why the 5 cops were on this young boy, because he wasn't wearing that. He had a legitimate exemption and reason, and that wasn't good enough. So just to watch the video, you can see, even though he says, I'm leaving, I'll go, they continuously to try to 5 of them, and it seems like there was other workers there in Costco. Anyway, go. So that is a turning point for a number of people that are probably connected with that family, as is a turning point for anything that's kind of happening to people negatively that we obviously don't want. But when choices made, that's people's choices. If they do have the side effect, and for the reasons they made the choice, can't beat themselves up over it, they have to go on. But there'll be many more people, like a ripple will wake up, I guess is the words that they use, but we'll get to see and start to question what is actually going on. And the other person that was there started to explain that she had gotten her 2 injections, as is the other person, because they wanted to travel. That was what I was hearing from a lot of people way back when. They wanted to travel. But she went on to explain how she had heart issues and chest pain for a good month afterwards. Then it kind of went away, and then she got her 2nd one, and same thing again. And both of those girls swear they are not getting another one. And the other one had, I think, some adverse reactions too, but nowhere near as severe, but they are not. So, by me not wearing a mask, it's easy for my family and people who know me to say to someone, I know somebody who's never worn a mask, goes into LCBO, goes into banks, goes wherever, and wherever I'm not welcome, well, it's, the idea is, well, I don't spend. I'm not going to make concessions in a sense to do that. No, I'm gone, I'm out of here. But again, no ill feelings. The idea is people are doing as what they're told, and they're fearful. They're fearful. And this is at the crux of it right now, the fears. That is really what's at the crux. If people did not have a fear of dying, there wouldn't be such a big deal. But that's the part that comes in along with the viruses, is the death. Oh, so many people, 20% of the population is going to die. And this is the initial thing, because for the most part, people have a fear of dying. Why do we have a fear of dying? Because the reason we have fears for dying is because we feel like we're going to maybe miss out. We feel like we're going to miss out on life. Well, if you feel like you're going to miss out life, why aren't you living life to the fullest right now, in the moment? In the moment, there is nothing to fear, only fear itself, or only that they're making this up so you feel it. But there's nothing to fear whatsoever. And so the whole thing with the fear thing gets into the things that have been created, as I was talking about earlier, the fact that even a virus is a thing now, when it used to be a goop of stuff on a slide, a goop of stuff. And then again, speaking, kind of bring it full circle to the video of the doctor speaking about how the whole idea in the process of isolating something and calling it that, oh, we got it. No, they don't. It's probably as crazy as the models that are created for the reasons they are, to give the results that they believe are indicative of what can happen, right? So models themselves, which they keep referring to, in itself is whether it's speculation or incorrect or whatever, obviously they have an outcome, and that's to put the fear into people anyway. So whatever that is, if you look back in time now, you can easily see that nothing has transpired like they said it would. 2 weeks to curb the spread. No, that didn't happen. Right? Oh, get 2 shots of vaccines and everything's going away, everything will go back to no, that didn't happen either. So there's many things that didn't happen, and so it's right there. But yet, as I'm at the rally at the farmers market, a walk club member walks by me. She knows who I am. She's been part of my walk club for years. She hasn't come out for a while, even prior to COVID, because she has a partner, and they sleep in on Sunday mornings. But regardless, she said, just to let you know, I know somebody who's unvaxxed and they've almost died from it. Now, this is all going to lead me to another conversation here, entirely different, which is, simply put, everything is energy. If we just stick with that for a second, everything is energy. And so if everything is energy, and we have more waves, more radiation waves, more waves of things at different frequencies, just being bombarded on ourselves, as well as, just say on the people, but animals too, is that this could affect our health. So without me asking 100 questions, which I would have of this person, there is still going to be a denial that there's anything else that exists other than the COVID. So it's almost no use in talking. But that's what I'm getting when I say certain things about we don't need to segregate, everybody should be welcome, is, well, then just get your vaccine then, and everything will be okay. Now, listen, when it started, you soon learned that no, you still had to wear your mask. You still had to physical distance. Why? Because you soon learned that what they initially told you was completely incorrect. It was only so you don't die. But let me tell you, having loved numbers all my life, let me say this to you. People wouldn't normally die anyway. A good majority of people would not die anyway if they got sick. And so when they say they're stopping people from getting sick, well, you have to ask yourself the question, what was the usual? What normally happened, or what usually happened? And the majority of people that went into ICUs would come out anyway. Right? They wouldn't, if they go to the hospital, they'd come out anyway. Right? And why are people getting sick? That should be another question. Most of the people that are getting sick are the vulnerable, are the ones who have 2 or 3 comorbidities. The pain that anybody has within their body is a very, how can I say it? It is challenging for the nervous system, or The nervous system is all up in arms. When you have pain, as you can see from the Iridology, it vibrates through the body, and it is a stress. Pain is a stress. It puts a lot of tension on the body. You can't relax when you're not in pain. I can tell you from childbirth that the pain, you have to breathe it out. You have to rise above it, but at the end of the day, that causes tension. Right? So we get tension from other things as well, but you can see how all of this kind of folds in and revolves around each other, because things are connected. It's not about putting them in isolation, which is what I found a lot of scientists did. They're an expert in their field. They're an expert in a particular thing, but that's getting away from the big picture. And once we get away from the big picture and we narrow in on just a portion of the body, a particular area of the body, at times you can you're then just let's say that the blinders on, and you're focusing with what's there and not the root cause as well, and then what is also happening, right? So that is very important. Let me just see what else. I do want to give a shout out to iAwesome. iAwesome is this up and coming site that good people behind it, and it's really about like-minded coming together for the I guess you could say teachings. I mean, as the teachers on there are called mentors, but there's a different way to learn, so that's why mentors is a good thing. And it is about learning and being exposed to various number of things to broaden your horizons and to find, I guess, assistance to identify something that may resonate with you and to help. And so we all kind of raise. So by Awesome, I'll put the link down below. It's free to be a member, so you can go in and see what courses they have. There are free courses, all kinds of good things happening in there. And what else do I want to talk about? Yeah, I'm going to put in another link down below, and this gets into the whole question of, well, what is in anything? What is in this? What is in the food we eat? What is in anything? And you soon kind of learn that there's a lot of things that are being processed. But what I kind of tie this particular interview that's on Rumble about a Spanish researcher is locating certain, I'm going to call it oxide, graphene, whatever. And this particular thing has got a whole website on its own. So it's not like made up and you can just, you're just hearing it from various people who are trying to let you know that it's in these. It has its own website with all its purposes. The graphene oxide is in the masks, and it's very, very strong. It's very, very small, and it exists. So if in fact that's what the magnetism is all about, but this particular doctor, along with others who unfortunately have gone to sleep for good, if you know my meaning, due to their communication about it, like Dr. Andreas, who's an expert in that field in Europe, then you'll find this interview informative. If that's what you're focused on, in the sense of better understanding how this story can be weaved so in such a way, but the evidence is out there, and the evidence on artificial intelligence is out there. The evidence that they want to put certain things into people's body, artificial intelligence, into the brain, being able to send signals to your brain to guide the body to do things or get feedback on what it is that you're doing. All of this exists on the various pages, including the government page, on like the words I've talked about, human augmentation, used by the military in the UK. That is right there on their website. And the idea of that is I don't think anytime soon certain countries are willing to give up their military, thinking that peace is the only option, because their excuse for having AI technology used in man is to create the warrior of such nature that it would be a better fighter, a better whatever it is in war and combat. And because other countries are working on it too, that's what they say. So I guess this is where we think of secret intelligence, knows what, spies, but also not through the UK website under human augmentation, also in Canada as well, and it's something biologics. Same thing. It is about using artificial intelligence in the body to deal with and and maybe it's going to come under the disguise of diseases at first, like Elon Musk, and this is supposed to roll out, but as simple as it is on starting as well for people. And there's some great things where I think it was Google, you could actually swallow pills. So here's the crazy things, not to kind of run away with you too much on thinking, because thoughts are things too, but chips are only part of it. This is also a direct route into the body as well. And when it comes to taking things this way, we're more protected this way. But there's still crazy things that you can do, and I think that's why more and more people are choosing to grow their own food, know where their food comes from, and have less processing. Because if you have less processed food, it's not as easy. Artificial intelligence can be much easier when they're giving you foods, medicines that are highly processed. So I hope you can see kind of all the stuff that I kind of brought in today was really to give you a better appreciation for questioning in the areas of advancement, I guess you could say, and things that they're putting in your body, whether you're putting in your body or they're wanting to put in your body. And that's really what it's coming out more and more, I think, but it's there for you to see. You just got to piece it together that artificial intelligence is something that's big. Even with the Global Economic Forum, and they talk about that too, the advancement. But you will see, even in the Catholic Conference, it was there too as well. But the idea is we want to have choice. And that's kind of been a little bit eroded here. We want to have choice, and this is where the like-mindedness that we all have to going for freedom of choice, our body, our choice, all of that is something that is very, very valuable. As you can see how all of this kind of comes together. So it's very valuable more than ever. It's not just about the mRNA. It's not just about the particular preservatives that they have to put into all of vaccines so it doesn't go bad. Because if it does, then that can cause infection into your blood, and that can be serious for people. It goes beyond that. So AI is one thing. For sure, there could be other things too, but I'm not going to bring up those names right today. So was there anything else I wanted to talk about? Yeah, so lots of good news, of course. You can see that, and so I won't talk to all of the good news because there's a lot of it. Even the case number that's in the UK, and you can see the videos are going around to the various stations, the police stations, and supposedly it'd be great to see and to hear and to see it in writing, but I'm not holding my breath with mainstream media that they have shut down the clinics. That would be awesome. So things, what they say is things can be duplicatable. If they work somewhere, they can possibly be working somewhere else as well. So let me think if there's anything. There's another video I'm going to put on. However, watch it if you don't want to watch it. And again, it's Hugo Talks, and it is just his number 10 around athletes. Again, by watching that, you just get to see all of the headlines, because these people that are athletes that are being affected by this are it's clear that you can see from outside. These are athletes that just, it doesn't happen that way usually. And other than that, there's lots coming out. We make a shout out to all kinds of people. Trust me, I'm really just scraping the surface with that. Just seeing if there's anything else. Yeah, even Vaccine Choice Canada, they're a great resource for you to begin to learn, especially if you're new to this. Action for Canada and Vaccine Choice Canada. Those places, as well as others, are a good place to start. Again, I can see it being very, very overwhelming, and I can't stress enough that words are things too. And sometimes when we're on a mission to get more people to believe in the cause, things can come across very, how can I say, there's not one word, but they can come across and actually have people turn off people. And that's, the fears here. We have to, if I go back to the fear thing again, some of the things that people are doing, there's check in with yourself and with others, is don't have any fear. So if you're going to serve a notice of liability, if you're going to do anything, not the whole thing that fear's not going to work. Fear, they're going to, somebody's going to say something to me if I walk in without a mask. The fears are coming in as well. So to rise above the fear, no matter where you are on this event, rise above the fear. If you believe in this and you're just coming into certain information to start to question, rise above the fear and just be open to learn, listen and read. Not that you know it's true or not, but just be open and take a little bit of information in, maybe not go crazy and read everything, 10 hours in that day. I think I've mentioned before about, and I probably haven't, there's particular doctors that have looked at the organs of people that have passed, and what it's showing is there is some autoimmune conditions. Now you got a question here. What is autoimmunity? Because these key phrases keep coming up in time to time. Everybody's believing in autoimmunity, and I'm not quite sure that it is what it is, because when we think about our own cells attacking our own cells, something doesn't smell good when I think about that, because one thing that doesn't logically make sense with autoimmunity is that there is problems. Yes, I'm not going to disagree with that, but my thinking is, if something is taking off, let's say, and you have a certain particular cells where certain things are breaking down, like the myelin sheath and MS, and they're starting to break down, and that's an autoimmune disease. Things happen, and they happen continuously. If there was a cascade of that happening, it would happen, and happen very quickly and very assuredly. And so when people go into remission, you got to question. It's no different than me questioning the idea that you can be asymptomatic in a deadly event, right? There's something deadly out there. If you eat rotten food, which is composting food, if you eat food that's decomposing, you're going to get sick, because that's not the microbes that a living, like a living human being wants to have in their body. So you get sick. That's just a survival mechanism. So it doesn't make sense. This autoimmunity thing doesn't make sense to me. To me, it seems like there's an overabundance of toxicity. I can't put my finger on it yet, so you're just going to have to let me think about that one and ponder that one and research. But there's something I know in the sense that things are made up, and it has people this, and all of a sudden you think you have this, and therefore the slippery slope. It's like with the big, with the big C word, the cancer word, right? Slippery slope. No, not everybody has to die from it, and they can absolutely turn it around themselves, and that's been proven. So lots of good things. I'm not going to go into the children. That's a whole big area, and it does challenge people. Definitely challenges people in their thinking. But this is where the bravery comes in, not to be fearful of knowing about something is that I get it, that some will, some won't, some can, and some will never. But the idea is there are horrific things happening. There are. And these horrific things, at a certain level, to be understood that they exist and to be able to listen, to hear that it is happening, is not necessarily a bad thing, but I can see how it would challenge people's, and it challenges their nervous system. I mean, only in the movies, as some would say. It's only in the movies, and that's the whole craziness about it all, is everybody just wants everything to be in the movies. You just stay in the movies. Well, what people don't understand is some things that are in the movies are the various things that are doing a whole scale of things to people's minds, having you believe it's true, like this whole virus, and there can be an alien invasion and all of these things, to have you believe this stuff is possible. It's the possibility thing. Anyway, that's enough about that. You can see how I brought in a number of things that kind of all tie together, and that's really what I wanted to do today, and how one of our powers is our thought, our imagination, thinking, imagining. It's your thought. You can guide it, and to imagine what you do want. Imagine whatever it is you want with such good feelings and no doubt, no fear, only with joy or some sort of a good vibration that you can feel, whatever, however you can do that. So imagination is one of our powers, and that is a tool that everybody here can use. Now, if it means a negative impact to people, you kind of want to just put that off to the side and avoid including that. Oh, well, then other people will learn the hard way, and that's, so you put that all aside. Just imagine the things that you do want in such a way that it doesn't mean that it's putting people in their place, or that other people are going to get harmed, or that the bad guys are going to get blown up, or any of that. Stick to just imagining what you want, and that can be so many things. What I have fun imagining sometimes is the sea, and I remember I would, just because it was kind of fun, I'd get the building involved, the architecture, and one of the things that as a place to go and to just play and see and to create in my mind was a place that was built into the cliff that was right, the cliff went down into the ocean. So just kind of like the fun little things that come to mind. The entrance was right on the top, and from all kinds of angles you wouldn't even know there was an entrance there. It's built into nature. And then the windows that kind of had an ocean view, but also one of the windows had a undersea view. So if you went down 4 stories, you could see the ocean. Not going to say the ocean floor, but I guess it's right beside the cliff, so you could see a lot of the ocean. In fact, it was so, you just start adding pieces to it. Wow, what if I could go diving? You go into like a pod thing, a room, then it fills in with water, and next thing you know, you're going scuba diving. I think this, it had its own beach. So you can have some fun and get into the details, the colors. Well, how does it feel? What are you doing there? What does it look like? What does the sunset look like? So just imagine the best you can in all the ways you can as to what life feels like when you're free, what life feels like when you can make your own choices, what life feels like when you can be where you want to be, who you want to be with. Imagine those kind of things with all your senses, like it's so real. It's almost like a guided meditation, but you are creating it in all the ways you can, consciously. Nobody's guiding you. You're doing it. And if you just spend a little bit of time, obviously got to be quiet where you're not going to be distracted, then it's just a practice of doing that. Just give yourself 10 minutes, 15 minutes before you go to bed, when you kind of wake up. Before you eat would be preferred. Okay, let's go into a joke, as Live at 5 is, yes, we talk about something completely new or something different, and then go into some of the moments that are happening right now, things that are going on. But here is a joke. So third part, joke. And in this case, I have my good friend Rebecca from the Walk Club, and she sends me, I'm on her email list, so they're pretty good. This one I like, so I just want to read this. Okay, so a duck, a skunk, and a deer went out to dinner at a restaurant one night. When it came time to pay, the skunk didn't have a cent. The deer didn't have a buck, and so they put the meal on the duck's bill. There you go. Something short, something sweet, but at the end of the day, creative with words. So feel free to share on my page or even underneath here. And I know times people have sent me things through Messenger, but feel free to post some puns, post whether it's a picture or just the words. Feel free to post it. More the merrier. Gives us a smile, and there's nothing wrong with a smile. Absolutely. So without that, I'm just going to see if there's any comments. I don't think there's any comments, but I'm going to wish everybody a good rest of the week, and happy imagining, and being aware, of course, enough, but also giving yourself the opportunity to be in balance. Go have some play, take care of yourself. This is your life, your healthy lifestyle. Still does not need to go on hold. You continue with that. So, again, have a good night, have a good rest of the week, and Live at 5 next Monday, unless there's a really darn good reason to do otherwise. Enjoy the convoy and what they're doing up until Saturday, so that should be very interesting. I'll put all the links down below. Take care. Thanks for listening in at Live at 5, and we will see you soon again. Bye for now.